X forever.
All these drugs just make me anxious. Look, I'm just tryna f you, not them hoes you came with. Pull up on 6 so loud and banging. Yeah, Texas forever, still twisting my fingers. Texas forever, you speaking my language. Look, all in the day by for Wednesday. Out in the field tryna school me a deal. Put my name by that X like I'm Kimbe. I do it off of my team, just a young covered in green like I'm Dende. We ain't compadres comprende. Clutch city, crush city, whatever you call it. I stay with my friends, stay hands in, never hand out. Look, I had to go get it, my everybody say I'm the man now. Wrist moving in and out the kitchen. My might pull up on 6 in the whip, whipping it. I'm just a young getting it. All I had was the pot I was pissing in. Now everybody want pieces, percentages. I'm just trying to get my niggas over. I did the work that they want. All this money, cash, cars, clothes, hoes coming in fast, but I'm sipping slow. Cause it's Texas forever. You already know. It's more down there.
X forever.
Hey, welcome into another episode of H-Town Huddle. Appreciate everybody for joining me on another Wednesday night, 9 o'clock-ish, Central Time, the way that we normally do it. Got the Nico Collins jersey up in the background because, hey, guess what? We got into the end zone this past weekend. Got to get a little excited for that, at least for fantasy purposes. But we'll recap the Monday night disaster, or at least what turned out to be one this past week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the home opener for the Houston Texans. What went wrong, some of the stats that ended up, just breaking all that down. It's a loss for words almost today, folks. But it's also been a very long work day. No excuses, though. We're going to bring the energy. We're still here on a Wednesday. We're 0-2, but guess what? It's a long season. And, if anybody can come back from 0-2, it would be the Houston Texans in what I consider still a pretty weak division. Are the Colts for real? That's still yet to be seen, right? They're looking pretty good right now, but the Texans got to go out and make a statement this upcoming weekend. But we will get there. We will get there in due time. We'll talk about this weekend, but first we got to talk a little bit about last weekend. But I do appreciate some of the homies up in the chat. Appreciate Lee up there, the ear to the streets, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, Spencer, the guru. We're out here firing it up. So appreciate you guys for dropping by. If you got any questions, any queries, IDP wise, anything Texans related, obviously I am here for you all, but appreciate everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe. You're subbing up. You did see the Neon Peacock merch promo video at the top. Make sure you go check that out. There will be a sale happening soon. I'm telling you, it's been a long day. There will be a sale happening soon. We'll let you guys know about that, but go ahead and head on over there, sign up for the mailing list, throw some stuff in your cart, and that way you're ready for when that happens. Or, you can just buy something at full price and help support an artist like myself. Everything that is up there, I'm do, either digitally or I sketch up and then I'll put the concept together. And I do take commission work as well. So if you have any ideas or sports teams or anything like that you want to see up on a digital design, go ahead and get at me. And when I get some time, we'll work that out. But in the meantime, like I said, we'll get back to the lowly Texans. I think I fired up the regular intro, but just officially kick off this episode here Episode number 3, Wednesday night, 9 o'clock Central. We're tuned in to the H-Town Huddle. And the hope and the theme of this episode is the return of Captain Kirk in a revenge game. See if that can help the offense. All right, and we're back. Officially kicked off the show. Thanks for sticking around through that intro, laying some stuff down in the chat, showing the love. Appreciate it. Good evening, Bogart. Good bro out there, man. Appreciate you for coming by. We will be talking all things Texans today, and this is the only digital platform that focuses on solely the fantasy aspect of the Houston Texans and their opponents. So, that said, let's go ahead and kick it off here. Let's see, what do I got in store? Probably a whole bunch of stats and things like that where I'm going to end up talking for a long time and end up being really long-winded, but I will hopefully also have some images to throw up on the screen for you guys. That way it's just not me being a talking head. So, yeah, let's get into what was released today, though, just before we recap last week. We'll go ahead and go over the injury report. Let me throw myself up here. There we go. So released today, Wednesday, injury report, limited Kamari Lassiter. For those of you who have any Lassiter shares, he's a tackling machine out there on the opposite side of Stingley on that defense, but pretty active this last week. He was limited today with a knee injury, something just to monitor. Same thing with Jalen Petrie. He was in and then out and then back in that game this last week. Guys in the chat know how I feel about Jalen Petrie in coverage, but also a good tackler. Christian Kirk limited with a hamstring, meaning that he has returned from his 2-week absence. And like I said, this is probably the theme for this week, the return of the Kirk, and Christian Kirk probably doing some work, hopefully in the slot. He was AKA the slot demon. We saw a lot of him in camp and preseason, early and often. And as well as the return of Braxton Berrios, the hamstring. He is the return specialist, although I don't know if he's going to have that job back after you saw Jalen Knoll with 156 punt and kick return yards off of 6 total combined, 3 and 3 each, 3 punt returns, 3 kick returns, 156 return yards, I think with a long of 46. So dude's special with the ball in his hands. Looked smooth out there. Looked like he was gliding, wasn't even moving at full speed, and was just zooming by people. So really interesting prospect there, especially if you have any leagues that have return yards. He would have been a great play last week with probably about 14, 15, almost 15 fantasy points in those leagues, or maybe just around there. And then the week before that as well, kind of, first game of the season ever. I think he caught a couple of passes, didn't get to return anything. Everything was fair caught. Low scoring game there with the Rams, right? 14-9 loss, or is that the final score? I think it was, yeah, 5-point loss there. And then, of course, this last week, a 20-19 nail biter on Monday night. Not so fun for me, but if you were watching that, it was probably entertaining, at least for the most part. Started off with a bang, and then kind of, the offenses fell victim to both of the defenses. Tampa Bay having a great defensive line versus the Texans, abysmal offensive line. And then, of course, the Texans with their great defense for the most part, for like 90% of the game, right? Or 99% of the game. Hey, what's up, Kamish? Appreciate you for dropping by, brother. All right, let's get back into it, though. That is the injury report, Braxton Berrios. And then Jalen Smith, he was featured on the Snoop portion of that broadcast. I don't know if you guys caught any of that, but he is a product of Snoop Dogg's youth football league out there in California. And so anyways, he did not practice due to a hamstring injury. So he may be one of those guys who is inactive here and during the roster moves or whatever. He'll be out and they'll elevate Kirk and Berrios and some things of that nature. We also have Darrell Taylor, a force on the defense. He was limited with a hip injury. And then Jake Andrews, the starting center, limited and back at practice. So that's good news for the offensive line. Jake Patterson, is it Jake Patterson? Patterson, the backup center. Either way, Patterson, can't have two Jakes at center. That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, Patterson, the backup center, played okay. Vita Vea kind of tossed him around a couple times though, but played well for a backup, I guess, this last week. Considering all that, the Texans only gave up 3 sacks, so I guess some improvement there. But 3 sacks is still 3 sacks, not good. He'd prefer to keep C.J. Stroud, with 0 sacks. In other news, they did sign Brendan Bates, a tight end, blocking guy, just a guy. Who knows, right? That's whatever, it is what it is there. But yeah, yay. But I did talk about this impact player, big thing, big news there. Biggest news of it, Christian Kirk coming back in a revenge game. When asked about this, they asked him, hey, is it a big deal going back, to play in Jacksonville versus, Jacksonville? And his response was like, yeah, they cut me. And he kept it nice and short. So I think he's excited to get his first action of the season and be back and be a big part of this offense. And I think that it kind of stinks that they've kind of been relying on him and making this kind of like the excuse. But I do think that he's going to help a lot with being a veteran, having that connection that he was showing with C.J. Stroud in camp, and helping the quick game, running through the air in essence, and maybe changing things up in Jacksonville. So you do recall a couple of years ago, we did have a Tank Dell breakout game in Jacksonville in week 3 when the Texans looked abysmal. Go back 2 seasons ago to C.J. Stroud's rookie year, where the Texans started 0-2 and still ended up winning the division and going to the playoffs. So not all hope is lost. I'm here to have some hope and have some silver lining to all of this that's been going on, over the last 2 weeks. So you got to stay positive. Hey, what's up, Candlestick brother? My bro, man. Good to see you. Appreciate you, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Stay tuned live. Yeah. We need Christian Kirk back. I've activated him off of the IR in most places because Sleeper told me I had to. And honestly, I need him to at least put up like 10 fantasy points and just be okay, coming off this injury. So if he can do more than that, great. But that's all I'm really looking for in some of these really tough spots with injuries in my fantasy leagues personally. But you guys aren't here to listen about that. We'll continue to give you some more insight about the Texans and try to push through some of the relevant news here. Let's see. Going back to the abysmal play calling and what is, I think, in essence, Bobby Slow 2.0 with Nick Caley, the new offensive coordinator. Here's a nice graphic. The Texans offense on Monday versus the Bucks. Design pass percentage here. So like basically, hey, if they're under center, they were going to run. If they were in shotgun, guess what? They were going to pass. And so they were super duper predictable, very gross, and which resulted in the 20-19 loss, fiasco, what I call super breakdown, meltdown of a game on Monday night. Tell us how you really feel, right? All right. So let's talk about week 2, and then we'll progress through all of this stuff here. And then as we go through some of this, I'll try to go back and forth with some banners and some quotes I have, and hopefully I don't get mixed up. But Texans rush defense in week 2 allowed 169 yards. We'll start there. Okay, we'll start here. We know that the offense is bad. We'll get there in a bit. But these are some of the things here where if you look at the way the Texans were last year, one of the better rush defenses in the league. Starting off this year, not so great. 169 rush yards given up, 5.6 yards per carry, and that touchdown to Rashad White, of all people, coming in and kind of vulturing the Bucky Irving stuff. I think Bucky had a pretty decent day through the air. Well, I don't know if I clipped out some of those stats, but yeah, I think in essence, in the air, he had like 70, or he rushed for 77, or, something in essence to that. I'll pull up some sleeper stats here in a bit when I get there, but it is what it is. The point is, Texans rush defense was bleeding up the ass. Don't know what was going on there, but yeah, that's where it starts. Aziz Alshire says that the swarm mentality is great, but if you don't balance that mentality with fundamentals and calming down in certain situations, then it can backfire. And so they need to be a little more balanced. I think we saw that in the 4th and 15 play that extended the last drive for the Buccaneers when H2O just rushes in on a clean blitz. Couldn't have a cleaner look at just knocking the crap out of Baker Mayfield. Over pursues, kind of just gets a hook arm on him, and then there goes Baker for a huge gain before Aziz brings him down after they pick up the first down on a 4th and 15, to just end the game, really. So sad that the defense couldn't pull through. Obviously, there's a lot of problems with the offense, and we'll talk about that, but, it is. Oh, one thing I didn't talk about, veteran wide receiver Justin Watson dealing with that calf Achilles injury. He actually already got placed on the injured reserve. It's not like a complete tear or anything like that. He could come back. But I'm just glad he's on the IR and away from the team, because he shouldn't be out there running 60% of the routes ahead of guys like Jaden Higgins, who you drafted really high in the second round. What the hell? So happy trails, so long, sorry, not so sorry, Justin Watson, for just kind of coming in and being just a dude and taking away from the development of the rookies. I don't know what Nick Caley's doing. I don't know if he doesn't trust rookies or what it is, but look, if you guys need help right away, you drafted these guys for that reason. Get them out on the field. I don't know what Jalen Noel has done to not deserve to be out there in the slot while Christian Kirk was hurt the entire time. So anyways, just mind-boggling, baffles me how that happens. But yeah, I had forgotten to mention that. Where are we? Let's check on the comments yet. Revenge game for Christian Kirk. Yeah, that's right. Hella predictable. yeah. And I think we were in this same boat with Bobby Slowick last year as well too. It may take a little bit of time. Now, to Nick Caley's defense, Brevin Jordan injured basically before the season started. That was probably going to be one of your sneaky pass-catching tight ends. Cade Stover, who was next in line, also out. So, like, you lose both of those guys for the season, and then you just have slow-ass Dalton Schultz on the other end. So he's not helping much, and he's not going to get an uptick or consolidation of targets. He's just going to do what Dalton Schultz does. Now, with Christian Kirk back, I think that maybe now that middle of the field, that short area, we can get a fast, quick guy who knows what he's doing, has a connection with Stroud, is a veteran. Maybe we'll be able to sit in the window a little bit in some of those versus zone coverages and things of that nature that we saw CJ Stroud miss with this last week with guys like Higgins and some of the other guys that he's not used to necessarily taking so many reps with. And if you saw the press conference recently, he actually mentioned that. Let's see if I have anything for that, but he actually mentioned that it's guys that, I wasn't necessarily working with a lot. So I think that he's also very excited to have Christian Kirk back, but yeah, bad. Let's see. Let's try to stay on course without jumping around too much, but I put these in alphabetical order by accident. So let's talk about Houston's defense still. Keep that going. They allowed 20 points. They were 6 of 14 on third down, which isn't too bad. But that, like I mentioned, some crucial ones to keep some drives going, especially that fourth down fiasco. What's this? Is this? I labeled it puke, so this has to be about the offense. Yeah, the offense in week 2, 19 points, 2 of 9 on third downs. So the Texans offense, on the other hand, also not very efficient. Didn't even face that many third downs, but still managed to put up 19 points. And even a controversial, I saw some things on Twitter floating around that maybe they let Nick Chubb score on that 25-yard touchdown. That way they'd have time to be. No, I'm not buying that. I don't feel like they'd be super confident. They're like, we're going to let him score here so we can go 75 yards down the field and score a touchdown on a team that we've had trouble doing that on all night. So I'm not necessarily buying that narrative, but 3 sacks taken on 24 pass attempts. Is it like the sack number is low for the Texans, but only on 24 pass attempts? Not very good. So still seeing a high rate of pressure, and that's causing Stroud to, either see ghosts or get rid of the ball early, be off his timing, and then, working with a bunch of receivers he's not used to working with. I'm not trying to make a whole bunch of excuses, but there's reason to make a whole bunch of excuses. But despite all that, on 24 attempts, he still had 207 yards, a touchdown, and a rating of 97, which, when you're around that, typically you win football games. Unfortunately, that didn't bounce. The ball didn't bounce the Texans' way. And, on that note, let's go back to a quote from D'Amico Ryans. He says, it's so close. We're 0-2, but a few plays from 2-0, and that's the league. And, he's not wrong necessarily, but I feel like the Texans are playing. The expectations are super high. And then you're playing in these one close games, and then you're just kind of being like, well, the excuse is that like they're all one close games. It's like, no, you had opportunities to score touchdowns in both of these games and get ahead, and then maybe even score some more touchdowns and get ahead. But your offense is putrid. And like I think in both games they went forward on 4th and goal and didn't score, or opted out of field goals and not taking points, missing penalties, especially in the first game, and then again in this game as well. So same old. The Texans shooting themselves in the foot in that regards. Having all this time, the entire offseason, to bring in more than Laken Tomlinson to help your offensive line and actually build around Stroud. So there's a lot of problems with this. It's not just what everybody's talking about. There's a whole lot of things and a whole lot of problems. But like I said, I'm not here to just talk about the obvious problems. I'm here to kind of help offer some solutions and some hope. Salute, Derek. Appreciate you, man, for dropping by. Song, my man, what's happening, man? Yeah. Hey, Nico to the moon, buy low. Still one of my buy low candidates. We'll talk about Nico Collins in a bit. Had 9 targets, wasn't able to connect with Stroud, but they were trying to force feed him the football in the end zone. He was also in my sheesh report. I'm going to have a sheesh section. I'm going to do a drop for that. Both him and Nick Chubb stopped at the 1 yard line in this game, and both did not score. So we had Nico Collins picking up a first down, getting dropped on the 1 yard line, not getting into the end zone. Then we had Nick Chubb getting stuffed on the next play, running right into Vita Vea. I don't know why they decided to do that instead of running either to the trying your luck on the outside, doing an end, getting creative, doing a motion, trying something, right? You have Jalen Noel there, super fast, looks like he's good. Woody Marks even, we'll mention him in a bit as well, but anyhow, just really disappointing with the end zone, the red zone efficiency for the Texans. If they can flip that, really, then I think fantasy-wise we'll be a lot happier with the pieces that we do have, and we'll be able to flex here and then be really confident with, once we get all those things going. And then, of course, if for redraft purposes, guys like Woody Marks, I think, or Jalen Noel may be getting more of a run if the Texans continue to lose games and just doesn't go their way. But they're in a get right spot this upcoming week. We'll talk about that as well. Let's see what else. The bad start. A few NFL teams have recovered from an 0-3 start to make the postseason. The 2018 Texans are the only team this century to make the playoffs after an 0-3 start. So if anybody can do it, be them. But of course, they had the ever-talented, young, and drama-free Deshaun Watson at the time. I believe Bogart used to call him Black Jesus before all of his legal troubles. So, that was that team. And then we had Watson with a bit of a dog in him, and he was like, hey, we're going to make he kind of came out and had a press conference, I believe, after them being 0-3, and he had some fight in him still. So CJ Stroud, maybe not so much. He just said that he could kind of improve on everything. And, he thinks that his assessment of himself, I don't agree with. He says that he was, making on-time throws and assessing the defense and seeing the field well. And I don't believe he was. I went kind of back and saw the all 22. I saw 8 minutes of all of his throws, and there were several things underneath that he could have just taken. And sure, maybe we would have been upset because he wasn't throwing it past the sticks, but maybe allow your guy to, lower his shoulder or, make a move and pick up the first down. So there was plenty of opportunities for that instead of kind of just forcing it or forcing bad throws down the field or seeing guys late or miscommunications, because the play was taking longer to develop. And then there was a lot of course, as soon as the ball snapped, there's 3 rushers in your face and there's nothing you can do about it. So it was a combination of all of that stuff. Also, the running backs missing blocks. Dare Agumawale, I think, was graded the worst PFF running back pass blocker or pass protector all of last week. And with good measure, I did see him whiff on a couple, and, that turned into CJ Stroud sacks. I believe it's time for him to get off the field, and I believe Lee said it here. It should be time for us to see more of Woody Marks, and he looked great on 2 touches. He had 41 yards. I believe he had a 37-yard reception. So he ran the ball hard on his limited carries or limited carry. So he got a Woody in the West Side League. Pause. Yeah, you could definitely use him, especially in a league like that or in the 32 or stuff like that, where you can pull up a low guy who will score a couple of points or big points on just a few opportunities. Really help out your fantasy team, right? Yeah, definitely can't lose against the Jaguars, man. This is got to be a get right spot. 0-3 is really scary. I'm not hitting the panic meter yet, although I'm like literally my fingers hovering over the button. Like I'm like this, right? And then if they go off on, they end up losing it, it's going off. So I can't turn this off. See, and that's how it's going to be. It's just going to spiral out of control. They'll probably lose to the Titans the following week. Oh God, could you imagine So heads will roll. People will get fired, I believe, if that happens. So recovering from 0-3, let's try not to get there. Gotta win this week. And that shirt is on the Neon Peacock website, win this week, along with Survival of the Healthiest. So make sure you check out those latest two. Got a couple of other ones that will be coming out, dropping pretty soon. Just been too busy at work. It's like if I'm the only freaking employee. But anyway, okay, let's see. Talked about that. Let's talk about the Jaguars a little bit. Hold on. Got too many things happening all at once. Oh, here's that quote from CJ Stroud. See the field well, putting the ball where it's supposed to be with the coverages and whatnot. Some things I just didn't really get a ton of reps with the guys were getting in the game at receiver. And I think he's talking about guys like Justin Watson, guys like Xavier Hutchinson, maybe. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. But you have Higgins there. You drafted him high. He should be in there all the time. And I think Noel should be a focal point or somebody that you should try to get the ball in space. You basically had a coming out party for him with the football. On 6 touches, he had 156 return yards. So you can see what he does. I don't know what it is. If they don't trust him, they think he's too small. I don't know. I don't get it. We had Tank Dell. They're afraid to break him. I mean, we had a guy like Tank Dell. He seems like almost a similar archetype of replacement who's explosive. You need explosive plays in this offense. You need a spark. We don't have Joe Mixon who's punishing people and ending runs with attitude and getting up and causing the offensive line to want to block well or, getting the tempo going. So, there needs to be a sense of urgency, obviously, this coming week. Definitely. Talking about that swarm mentality with the defense, going back to that a bit. Hold on. Let me see if I can remove this stupid overlay because I'm tired of looking at CJ Stroud's stats. Yeah, 3rd and 8 versus the Rams. They gave up a big play to Puka. 4th and 10 versus the Bucs. So we talked about that. Henry H2O missed that sack. So I think that over swarm goes back to what Aziz was talking about. Aziz had a great game. He actually dropped a Baker Mayfield interception on the very first drive, which would have probably altered the course or the mood of the game for the whole first half, right? And then he would have still been able to maybe hang on or whatever. But I talked about it the week before, last week, if you guys were here. Baker had 4 turnover-worthy plays in week 1. And I believe the Falcons or whoever it was were not able to capitalize. And the Texans Baker had a fumble and he recovered. They blocked a punt and they went 3 and out right after that. He dropped an interception on the first drive. Like, they had opportunities and then they missed the sack to end the game. So they had several opportunities and several plays where the defense, the offense was at the goal line twice and came away with, I believe, 3 points or less. Maybe I got to go back and double check that. They might have had 2 red zone drives where they came up with 0 points. So I just feel like several opportunities, good teams find ways to win. And right now, this is not a good football team, unfortunately. There, I got it off my chest. I feel a lot better. Thanks for sharing that with me, guys. This has been my shrink hour, and I owe you all $100. All right. So Brian Thomas, week 2, 12 targets, 4 receptions, 49 yards, but he did not look really good. Came out later that he may have had like some sort of wrist problem, supposedly, that was not disclosed by Liam Cohen. So, could get in trouble for that. But the rest of the receiving core looked a little bit better. A bunch of guys that we don't really hear about, other than obviously this guy who didn't do too well, Travis Hunter, 3 receptions, 22 yards on 6 targets, looking like a fantasy bust. But, I wouldn't give up all hope on, I wouldn't give up all hope on Brian Thomas Jr. just yet. Especially with, like I mentioned, this Texans defense allowing lapses like this where, you'll have guys like Puka, you'll have the Ibuka touchdown, things of that nature. David Allen, Dennis Allen, whoever the backup tight end is over there for the Rams. So, sneakier plays, guys like, let's see. Do I have them here? Did they load? I don't believe they loaded. Shoot. Oh, yeah, here we go. Guys like Dammy Brown, 5 for 7, 57 and a TD. These guys are sneaky DFS plays for daily fantasy. Here, Parker Washington, 5 for 5 for 76. This guy was coming on strong too, even when T-Law was out last season. So, these are good sneaky waiver wire claims. You can maybe go back and see if, they're still out there. you could basically pick them up for free, or like I said, long shot DFS plays or whatever. But with Kamari Lassiter a little bit banged up, some of these guys coming out of the slot, I don't trust Jalen Petrie in coverage. And you saw that, with, I can't even name the guys. It's happened 2 weeks in a row. We're playing defense, and I'm like, who the hell is that on the other team making a long play? So if you want to take a dart throw, these two names are pretty good, Diami Brown and Parker Washington versus the Texans. Also, don't forget about Bashal Tuden out of the backfield. The Texans are horrible versus the RB2s for some reason. Blake Corum scoring, I don't know. Kyron did get a touchdown in week 1, but this past week, got White getting into the end zone and posting decent numbers versus the Texans on limited carries. Bucky killing us through the air. And so if you have a receiving running back that you could play against the Texans, by all means. But Travis Etienne Jr. looked really good last week, 14 attempts, 71 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. And I think he had like 143 plus rushing yards in week 1. So watch out for that. On the other side of the football, you have Nick Chubb, 12 attempts, 43 yards with a long of 25, 3.6 yards per carry. Not great, but he did have that touchdown. So Texans scoring through the ground and on the air, giving you some viable fantasy assets. I did say that this is going to be like a workhorse-ish type thing, but 12 to 13 attempts when you can't run the football. We'll see if maybe they'll have better luck versus the Jaguars this upcoming weekend. Now, the Houston's pass rush versus Baker Mayfield. Only allowed 215 yards through the air, but did give up the 2 TDs. Like I mentioned, beautiful play design on one of those. Baker's a dog. I have him in fantasy everywhere. I'm not going to be super mad about it. Houston pass rush, though, did get to Baker on his 38 pass attempts, got to him 4 times, 4 sacks. Daniel Hunter had a great game. Can't name all the sacks off the top of my head, but obviously Will Anderson Jr. having a great game, and the defense just playing really well. So if they can continue to do that and limit some of those really blatant, obvious mistakes, then stop shooting themselves in the foot, the Texans can win football games. And hopefully it can get prettier on offense, and that we don't have to worry about them, 20 to 19, 14 to 10 kind of, ugly slug 'em outs. If we can get the offense rolling, then there's more opportunity for fantasy points all around. But on the defensive side, though, I think I mentioned some names there. Sheldon Rankins on the defensive interior making some noise. So, on the other side, the Jags defense, they allowed 31 points to Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals. 6 of 14 on third downs and 3. They did have 3 turnovers, but they also allowed, I believe, they allowed 3 touchdown passes. Hold on. That's Jags offense. Here you go. They allowed 317 yards, 3 TDs, and they did pick them off 3 times. I think the Jags are second in the NFL with most takeaways with 5 interceptions and a fumble recovery. So maybe 6. And only a 77.7 rate, but that was a backup Jake Browning. And let's not forget the Jags actually lost this game late. They allowed Jake Browning to drive down the field and punch it in on a quarterback sneak, if I'm not mistaken, with a putrid Bengals offensive line. So no excuses for the Texans on this one. Jags offensive line that week, 1 sack taken on 42 pass attempts. So, like I said, it's the Bengals. Their pass rush, they did get to the opposing quarterback on 45 pass attempts only 3 times. So we'll see if the Texans offensive line, kind of evens out. The Texans have completely dominated the Jaguars in history and recently as well. So this should be a get-right game. Even if they don't end up pulling off the freaking win, they should at least look a lot better out there is my guess, especially with a lot of players returning. They'll have a full, healthy offensive line. If the center comes back, Jake Andrews plays and starts, they'll have the starting offensive line that they were meant to start the season with. No shuffling or anything like that. So there's one thing, right, to look forward to. This was abysmal. Their offense was just really bad. We already talked about the sacks. Yeah, I think I got through most of that. We didn't talk about T-Law. 3 TDs, 2 interceptions, 271 yards versus the Bengals. T-Law is going to T-Law. I just love it. This is going to happen. He's going to turn the ball over. He's going to do some things. He's going to end up probably costing them the game. So let's just hope that he continues to do what he does, and we should be okay. We should be okay. Yeah, and here are here's a list of teams that started 0-2 that have gone on to make the playoffs since 1990, and the Texans have done it 3 times. So if anybody can do this particular 0-2 and come back and make it and do it, it's definitely the Texans. And you have a couple of AFC South teams in there. So, panic meter, pretty close. Haven't hit it yet. Next week, don't want to sound the alarms though. Yeah. And so you're saying there's a chance, and there it is. Texans have done it 3 times: the 2015, 2018, the 0-3 season, and the 2023 season with CJ Stroud. So there you go. Let's check back in. Rented 5 U-Hauls to park in front of Stroud on Sunday. Yeah, man, that would be awesome if you could do that. Unfortunately, we can't. The universes, don't worry, Peacock. This session's on the house. Yeah, I would hope, dude. I would seriously hope. But that's where we are with this. Like I said, Nico Collins though getting 9 targets. That's a good thing. The misconnect, that they're going to end up connecting eventually. So I'm not too worried. I was really upset Monday night. Kiddo had some worry in his voice after the game, and I just told him, don't worry, it's just a game. Don't worry. We've been there before. I hope to show him this podcast and show him that there's still a hope and some silver lining. That way he feels a little bit better. A lot of his principal at school, a lot of kids at this school are actually Texans fans, so that's pretty neat. Don't really get to see that around here, surrounded by Cowboys 24/7. So that's pretty dope of them. And so hopefully he'll get to wear his jersey with pride on Monday, right? Haven't had a victory Monday. It's been too long. Last game I went to was the Chiefs playoff loss out there in Kansas City. So hoping that Christian Kirk can come back and get things going for CJ Stroud. If you guys have seen any of the press conferences, seems like it's an integral part. We do need to see some dog. We need to see some fire back. And we need Nick Haley to call a better game, to get in his bag and start doing things. We need to limit the mistakes. Need a lot of things to happen. Seems like the list is ever growing. So Texans got to take care of business, clean things up, get serious. Week 1 was supposed to be a wake-up call. I don't know what week 2 was. The good thing is both of those losses were to playoff teams from last year in the NFC, not even interconference. And they're really good teams, really, really good teams. Rams right now looking to me like a Super Bowl contender, to be honest. Matt Stafford's just on. Streamable fantasy quarterback, Matt Stafford, in almost any situation at this point. He's just going to give you a solid base right now. And so they look really good. Obviously, great coaching and good defense, right? So teams like that. Tampa Bay, good defensive line. Other parts of their defense could be lacking. So obviously, the Texans didn't take advantage of that. And like I mentioned, they got down there, and the Sheesh report shows it. Nick Chubb, opportunity to score taken down at the 1 yard line, did not score again. Could have been a second touchdown for him. Same thing with Nico Collins, dropped at the 1 yard line. I think they took 3 more end zone opportunities towards him throughout the game and was not able to connect or score on stupid like fade routes and like double moves where the timing was wrong, instead of just playing to his strengths and throw him a fucking slant. Like Nick Haley. Watch some film from last year at least. Like pick Bobby Sloak's brain. At least he was winning games. But I think the big difference could be, the absence of Nick Chubb as well. Of Joe Mixon as well. Remember the first 2 games last year, he rushed for over 100 yards in both of them. And it's really the reason why the Houston Texans got off to a hot start last year. So yeah, bringing it back out of the archives. So, yeah, I think that's it. But the Texans, they don't have that killer instinct.
Combo breaker.
And so that is really what's killing them right now. And I think they need to. I think they need to step it up. There's going to be some gameplay. Obviously, there's going to be some. Berrios is back. Kirk is back. A couple of players are back that the Jaguars haven't seen for the first 2 weeks on film. So there's that, obviously. I don't know if the Texans are doing that on purpose. Also, if they could unleash the rookies, put Higgins and Knoll out there on the field a little bit more, make Knoll your main kickoff punt returner, that's cool with me, but bring him in on offense as well and see if you can get him with some end arounds or streaking over the middle. Go double slot. I mean, if you're short on your tight ends, right, change it up. Get creative. Don't stay boxed into what you thought was going to work and pigeonhole these players into that. You should adapt to the strengths of the players that you have. And I think that's what Nick Caley said he was going to do. And he did, I suppose, right, during preseason and OTAs with what he had. But then everybody got hurt, and now he's not changing that philosophy or sticking with that philosophy to tailor it to the players that he has at the moment. So, I don't know. Like I mentioned last week, dude needs to play some fucking Madden. And maybe, he'll figure it out and see like, oh, this guy's really quick and it works, or whatever. I mean, I don't even play Madden, but I'm pretty sure it would help. I mean, just watch the all 22. Like, I don't know what film they watch. CJ even said, like, if the coach would let me know, like, I watch film with quarterback coach Johnson, and then he watches it with D'Amico separately. And D'Amico says that he's involved with the offense. He doesn't seem like it. So there's just a lot of question marks. Typically, I don't like to make huge, crazy panic assumptions after 4 weeks, but typically by week 2, the Texans have at least one win. So I don't know. It's tough in the streets right now. You think they put Hunter on Nico? I hope they try. I hope they do. That means he won't be doing much on offense. Like I think I mentioned this when he got drafted to the Jaguars. It was like, imagine, streaking down the field and Trevor Lawrence overthrows you the football, and then you got to turn around and go guard Nico Collins on the next play, or 2 plays later, or whatever. So, I hope they do. I hope he plays more defensive snaps. He saw him last week with 6 targets, 3 catches for 22 yards. So he's still slippery right underneath. The Texans got to not over pursue, and they got to tackle correctly. And I think that's going to be a main point of emphasis for them this week in practice. So, hey, what's up, Bakes? What's going on, man? I kind of already ran through everything. I'm just kind of chilling with the chat here for a few more minutes before close it down for the night. But yeah, we basically ran over everything from Tampa Bay last week, how both teams fared against each other. I didn't talk about Emeka Egbuka. He did come out of the game with, I don't know if anybody recalls, but I did mention that he looked like he was a little hurt. Could be like a groin hamstring, and he was getting it wrapped. I believe he did not practice today. So that's something to keep an eye on. I was willing to trade him. I lost Joe Burrow, and I was willing to trade him for Browning, but then I thought better of it. But then the news came out, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. He got a little dinged up. So I don't know how serious it could be. Plus, I also heard that Godwin, has been practicing, and his return could be sooner than week 5. We're heading into week 3, so I don't know if it's a good time to sell high. But Browning's not selling high, so I tried to get Aaron Rodgers. Just wasn't going for it. Anyways, that's why I have another problem there. I think y'all can stop the run game. Yeah, I think that, we fare pretty well in these divisional matchups. They're usually pretty close games. Usually. Now, the Texans have had the Jaguars number, a couple times over the years. We'll see if they can do it. Doesn't look good right now. So Jaguars, I think, scored 26 and 27 points respectively in the last 2 weeks. Etienne, 143 rush yards week 1, and then 77 week 2. Now, they played Carolina and Cincinnati. So, that is what it is. Who's the third wide receiver for CJ? Who's the second wide receiver for CJ, bro? No, he didn't tear his Achilles. It's like a strain. He's going on like an IR, and he could return, supposedly. But yeah, maybe Higgins. That would be terrific. He does do well. There was a bootleg play where he came across the middle, and CJ flung it to him, and then kind of took it upfield for positive yardage, and then he's not afraid to shy away from contact. He's 6'4", 214 or something like that. So kind of lowered his shoulder a little bit. I always get scared because he looks a little thin, but does well, hold on to the football. So we can get him more than 1 or 2 targets a game. That'd be terrific. But Nick Caley can't do anything in this offense, it feels. And maybe it's the rookies' faults also. Maybe they're not getting open. Looking back on the all-22, the separation, it's just not really there for the receivers. And then CJ's not able to throw or anticipate throwing people open like he used to, I think, because he's just so worried after 2 years in the NFL of just like his internal clock is sped up. might be already getting ruined at this point. We're wasting his talent with not putting good offensive linemen in front of him, for Christ's sake. But yeah, I mean, I think we can stop the run game. Defense is good, right? You got to lean on the strengths. So, and the Texans defense always travels. That's a good thing. You know, they went to LA, they allowed 14. You know, last year in the playoffs with the Chiefs, you know, it was a close one. So I think the defense will still do well. And, you know, I think week by week, the team is going to improve. It's just, is it going to be good enough? Is it going to be good enough? Because the last 2 weeks, it just barely wasn't good enough. So, yeah, you went to go peek at the snap shares, man. Yeah, it's Hutchinson. And I told Dennis, I was like, Hutchinson's the number 2 over there. They think it's the number. He's the number 2. Blah blah blah. Veterans. Hutchinson's fine. I think he's a fine number 3 or good replacement if Higgins or Nico were to ever miss time. And I think Kirk is great, but he should have at least tried Knoll in the slot a little bit more. Maybe it was too much for him versus the Rams week 1, and they're like, we're not going to put you back out there. You're going to have to like learn and develop. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in their locker room. I don't really know their philosophy. I don't know what Nick Caley's trying to do. So, yeah, 57% snap share for a wide receiver 2 is horrendous. Like, what are they doing? It's a carousel of receivers. Justin Watson being on the field is too much. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to be Braxton Berrios this week. And I'm going to be so freaking pissed when I see him out there getting targets and running 60% of the snaps. And so will you. And so will everybody else. And Nick Caley better not do it, because if he does, man, he's going to hear it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. People will notice. People will notice. We notice. We notice. Yeah, well, Christian Kirk's coming back. That's it. You weren't here for the early portion. That's the whole thing. This is a Kirk revenge game. He's good to go. CJ Stroud's going to get back in sync. This is going to help run the ball through the air, ignite the quick game. This is what they wanted. This is why they signed Kirk. And apparently, you know, this is what was driving the offense in OTAs and in preseason. So, according to them. Thomas is still hurt? Thomas. Brian Thomas? Oh, with his wrist. So apparently, it's fine. Practiced, I believe, today. Fool, no big deal. But to me, it sounds like a weird-ass excuse. There was also the issue with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if you guys saw, where Liam Cohen was like telling him to throw the ball at the receiver's chest. And T-Law like just goes like this, like waves him off. Like, bro, listen to your coach. So if there's some discontent, or we can read into that, and hopefully there's something brewing there, then I'll take that, because the Texans need to win pretty bad. We need O-linemen just like we do. Alex Capo is trash along with center Meredith. Yeah, I mean, dude, we had a guy, Charlie Heck, last week coming to the game versus us. Didn't even make the Texans squad, but yet versus Tampa Bay, he's able to throw a trip versus one of our DBs to allow Nabuka a touchdown. So that didn't get called. Later on in the game, I think they made up for it by not calling a what could have been a push in the back. Although I think that one would have also been ticky-tack, because they picked it up and they're like, you can watch the replay all you want. It didn't really push him. But yeah, Duval. That's why they don't respect him. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's up with T-Law. I don't know what's up with the people in Florida. Shout out to them, though. My cousins lived in Florida. My cousin lives in Florida. Clearwater's a great place. I don't know about Jacksonville. But, yeah, hopefully we just beat the living snot out of these guys and get it right. And then you have Tennessee the following week. I don't even want to look at that yet. Honestly, you just got to win this week. That's the motto. That shirt's up on the website. Make sure you go check that out. Actually, can I upload? See if I can upload the design. If I have it saved on my computer, that way I can just pull it up on the screen. But let me delete some of these other things that I already showed you guys, just to make room, just in case. But yeah, make sure you're heading on over to neonpeacockmerch.com. I'll check when the next sale is. I'm surprised I haven't had one yet, but I did have like hella sales going off recently. Just ended a 40% off Labor Day sale, basically giving stuff away. Let's see what's in the downloads. Yeah, there's that one. See if that loads. There's the win this week. Let's go, Nick Chubb. If it weren't for that long breakaway run, his yards per carry would have been. Yeah. They weren't able to run. They weren't able to run the football. It's really bad. So yeah, win this week or cry trying. And then you have fantasy points and guys running his ass off right on the clipboard. We're all good there with that one. So go check that out. That design is up on the website. And let's see if I can bring up the other one as well in a bit. Let me look for it. See if I have it. I could just easily go to the website, right? But I'd rather just do this. Oh, shit. I accidentally highlighted like 20 images. They're all trying to upload right now. Hilarious. Well, that's probably not going to work, guys. Sorry. Might as well just go to the website. Oh, gosh. That's messed up. I have a bunch of spinning circles. Like it's half my screen over here on the media stuff. I'm going to have to go and individually delete all that stuff because I'm a dummy. Too funny. But yeah, the vibes, pretty weird. People were saying CJ's not a franchise quarterback. People are saying fire D'Amico. People are saying all sorts of things. All sorts of things. There it is. Survival of the healthiest. And you have the little phone right there. Oh, shoot. The mirror's flipped. There you go. You got the phone right there. Inactive and out. You got the little, whatever those things are, heart monitor deals. And he's using some stuff. You got some hidden GWN images up in there. But yeah, this one's a really dope image. Looks great just in time for Halloween. Go ahead and pick one of these up. Fantasy football related, but you can still wear it around the holidays. I also have like, I think a bong rip one and some other ones. I'll put up the other Halloween ones. That way you guys can take a look at that stuff. But definitely cool. Let's see. Oh, I got to get the Lee shirt. Can you change the address to his if I purchase it through my account? Or is that something I can do on my end without changing my address? Good question. I'll get back to you on that. I can figure it out. I know that I've bought stuff and I've sent it to somebody else's address and I've used my card, but you have to, like, you've ordered from the site before, so it saves your info. You're going to have to go in there and make sure that it's different. Whatever. Or cry trying. Bro, sometimes I know we're men and we try to be strong, but have you ever like gone 0-2 in fantasy football? Have you ever barely not made the playoffs in fantasy football? Or do you have like a brother-in-law that just like sends you text messages talking shit like all the time? Y'all know what it's like. So yeah, win this week or cry trying. Yeah. Oh yeah, the pain is there. I got a couple more lined up. Bogart and I were brainstorming the other night, so actually I have several more lined up. Just haven't had the opportunity to work on any because I start working on one and then I start adding more details and more details and more details, a little more details. So try to get the design looking, cool, looking good for everybody. Let's head on over to the website just real quick before we head on out of here. Share the screen. Neon Peacock merch. There it is. So, yeah, of course, we got our best sellers up there. Appreciate Cricket Commish doing his thing. They're the two recent designs. This is for my old college alma mater over here. Got the same 24. And then, of course, keeping with the Halloween theme, we got the Scary Jerry. Dallas looking good after that win last week. Derek, I know this one's right up your alley, man. You can get this one in a variety of colors. Halloween's usually like purple or green, to be honest. Probably look dope. But you can always do, cowboy colors. And then you can check out. So I always like to scroll to the bottom and check out what the other designs look good on. Sometimes they look good on stuff. Sometimes they don't. Like this hoodie, you got to go back in and edit that. But if you ever see something like that, let me know. That way I can fix it, especially if it's something that you plan on ordering. Sometimes it generates these things and it just doesn't do it correctly. But there he is. And if you tune into the show, you always hear us when we mention Jerry Jones. He has the Crypt Keeper laugh. So No surprise there. Let's see. Ozzy, some Wu-Tang stuff, H-Town stuff, Neon Peacock stuff. Shout out to Gemmo the Icon stuff. There's a whole row right here just chilling. Crooked Commish alternates. You got the NBA Jam style joints. You name it, right? And we do collages as well. HBK or your favorite athlete. We even have a Grit Don't Quit shirt. Totally forgot that's back here. Playmakers, if you're into that, which you should be. Make sure you check us out tomorrow night. Real Fantasy Playmakers doing the live watch party. Sideshow Joe. We got the Simpson character version of Steamboat Joe. Man, that looks like him, don't you think? Pretty cool. And then, yeah, of course, GWN, Bogey's World, some more Diamond Joe stuff. Christian McCaffrey, who's been tearing it up. I think when we go with the actual, like when we hype him up when he's regular, that's when it's bad news. If we go with the calf strain stuff, he'll be good all season. So, got to update the Packers one, especially with Reed and stuff like that. But we got Herb McConkey. We got a whole list of stuff. We got the fantasy football schematics. So go take a look. There's plenty of designs. They feel like they just keep going, and possibilities are endless. And we got a Rick and Morty one in here. It's hilarious. I forgot about this one. Yeah, the creation of Morty. Good stuff. But yeah, go check out the website. And if you ever wanted to just specifically look at something, you have t-shirts here, and then you can go to like just the tri-blends, and then you see all the designs in a tri-blend style. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't know, decorations like hoodies. You want to see hoodies? You get to see all the shirts in hoodie style. I got to change these. Oh, the hoodies. This is what Bogart was talking about. So the ones with the pockets in the front that aren't either zipper or whatever, they have like a smaller emblem. But I think there's a different one. Where the hell? Oh, these are the young kids pullovers. That's why. Okay, so these are the kids. When they're the kids ones, the design's smaller. That makes sense. Sweatshirts, pullover hoodies, classic V's, sponge fleece. These should have like bigger designs on them. There you go. So yeah, just be careful where you're looking at stuff, but available in all types of deals. I forgot about this one. This one's hilarious. We got Wong Wong's all you can eat buffet, and then the lunch specials. So if you're into that as well, we got some funny stuff in there. I think I even have there's some funny ones. Shredder, Macho Man, Ace Ventura, Alien versus Predator. So I mean, it's not all just sports related, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Ninja Turtles, Raph and his feels. So make sure you go check it out. Like I said, I'll try to figure out when the next sale is and let you guys know by the next podcast. But yeah, cool deal. Hell yeah, bro. It's like my coworkers are assholes. I'm 0-2 in my work league. Yeah, I know. You need some Packers gear? There's a little bit of Packers gear in there. The Shredder one is classic. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, I'll get some new Packer stuff up there for you, bro. Don't you worry about that. We'll do some Jordan Love stuff. We'll do some gotta do some craft stuff. So, and they're killing it. I can't believe we'll do a Josh Jacobs Jinglehammer one too, maybe. We'll get something going for the pack. Don't you worry. But all right, man. Appreciate everybody chilling, hanging out with me, letting me vent about the Texans, seeing what we can look forward to in the this coming week. Like I said, Christian Kirk coming off the IR. If you got him in spots and you're in a pinch for wide receiver, I would probably stream him this week. But I'm not expecting anything too crazy. Like I said, it is a revenge game though, so there's always the possibility of him having a really good game. There's also the possibility of him pulling his hamstring again. So just temper expectations. If you're going to do that, I'd only start him if I was in a pinch, which right now in a lot of places I am. There's been a lot of injuries. We lost a lot of good men out there. But yeah, everybody just stay focused, stay at it. Remember, in fantasy football, it's not like the NFL where if you start 0-2, it's extremely hard to make the playoffs. I think that fantasy football, anything can happen. You just need the right combination of your players to hit. I have guys going off one week and then dudding the next week and vice versa. I need them all to hit at the right time and have a nice blowout win and get back on top. Let's see. Josh Jacob, Jingleheimer, ugly sweaters coming soon. Perfect. Chubbs? Where's Charbonnet? Oof. Charbonnet's obviously more explosive. Chubb. Did we talk about the Jacksonville pass D? Run D. The Jacksonville's run defense actually bottled up Chase Brown, but then again, Chase Brown's been bottled up last 2 weeks. Let me see. Do I have anything on them? I was deleting some of these things. Pass D. Where's their rush defense? Yeah, Chubb, 12 attempts, 43 yards and the touchdown. And then last week, I think he rushed for 60 on 13 versus the Rams. So he might have a better day, and you're getting more guaranteed touches, I believe. Charbonnet is still splitting the work 50-50 over there. The Seattle backfield conundrum is crazy. I think to be safe, upside, Charbs, safety, Chubb. How about that? I think that's where I would lean with that answer. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and lean with that answer. Yeah, Etienne, 71 yards. I said 77 off memory, but I was close. Yeah, but this is the guy. This is the guy supposed to be making a comeback, doing something for the Texans. Whoops. We'll see how it goes. All right. Well, make sure you check us out tomorrow night. We do have a Thursday night football game on the Real Fantasy Playmakers. Be on the lookout for that. I will get it scheduled probably tomorrow. I'm flipping tired. It was a long work day. But stick around for some cool music videos. That's fair. I'm sticking with good old St. Nicholas Chubb. I like it. I think that's if it's what you're looking for, right? If you have some guys on the Thursday night, right, and you go down quick or you're down big, right, versus somebody else, maybe you're looking for some upside. I think that maybe Charbonnet offers a little more upside. I don't know what the matchup is there, but I do know that he's a lot more explosive than Chubb with the touches. So pause. I felt like there was a pause there. Chubb with the touches. gotta cover your ass there again. Anyway, all right, cool. So like I said, if you're down, you got some free time, check out some of the music videos here to close off the show. Make sure you're checking out GWN, liking and subscribing. Make sure you're heading on over to neonpeacockmerch.com as well. Yeah. And that's it, man. Hopefully we're coming back here and we're talking, 1 and 2 Texans have evened up everything. They're looking good in the division, because this is what's important, right? The division games right here. So there's still a chance to turn all this stuff around. Doesn't look very positive. Vibes aren't too great, but at least not from what I've seen and what I give off. But I'm trying to stay hopeful, and that's the theme here. Christian Kirk, hopefully he can come back and be the slot demon that they were talking about in the preseason and help these guys move the football up and down the field and actually get into the end zone. Maybe even free up some targets for Nico Collins to have a big game and get CJ Stroud confident and right back where he needs to be. Until next time, folks, appreciate you guys. We'll be back next Wednesday night with the 4th installment of the H-Town Huddle.
It's special. We started at practice. We practiced off this week, man. Them boys are tired. Let's keep it up this week, man. Texans!
Henny Remy, shorty, I've been mixing liquor lately. So you know that my excuse is that the liquor made me suck my dick and pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me. She don't call back like, damn. And my brother's always busy. That's why shorty fucking with me. She the only one that give me. Yeah. And I rolled this here for 2. I just hop up in the whip. I hit up 6. She smoke it with me. Little bitch.